Most people spend their lives avoiding risk, as if safety were something that could be guaranteed by doing nothing. They tell themselves that staying in the same job, the same routine, or the same mindset protects them from failure. But what they don't realize is that doing nothing is often the biggest risk of all. The world is always moving, markets shift, technology evolves, people grow, and if you're standing still, you're quietly falling behind. The illusion of safety is the most dangerous comfort. Every generation faces this trap, the trap of thinking, if I just stay where I am, everything will be fine. But the truth is, the longer you stay the same, the less control you have. You become like a boat anchored in still water, unaware that the tide is pulling you out to sea. The environment changes whether you're ready or not. The skills that once made you valuable may become obsolete. The habits that once made you feel secure can slowly turn into chains. Comfort feels like peace, but over time it becomes stagnation, and stagnation is the silent killer of potential. Naval often says, the only real security in life comes from constantly improving yourself. It's not your job that keeps you safe. It's not your title, your degree, or your bank account. What protects you is your ability to adapt, to learn, to move with the flow of the world. If you aren't evolving, you're decaying. That's not a harsh truth, it's a liberating one, because it means you always have the power to change your trajectory. Think about it, if you choose comfort today, you pay for it with struggle tomorrow. But if you choose growth today, you earn freedom tomorrow. Growth is never comfortable at first. It demands energy, humility, and the willingness to look foolish for a while. Most people avoid that feeling, not realizing that discomfort is a signal, a sign that you're expanding beyond your current limits. Everything you've ever wanted in life sits just on the other side of that discomfort. People who achieve meaningful success aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They simply understand that life rewards movement. They take small, deliberate risks not because they enjoy uncertainty, but because they know what's even more uncertain is a future built on fear. Every time you refuse to change, you trade the unknown for the illusion of stability. But stability without growth is an illusion that eventually collapses. Imagine someone working the same job for 10 years, doing the same tasks, avoiding new responsibilities because they're afraid of failure. They believe they're being safe, but then technology changes, their company restructures. Suddenly, the skill set that was once valuable is outdated. The job disappears, and they're left with nothing to fall back on because they never invested in their own evolution. What they thought was safety was just delayed risk. In contrast, think of someone who keeps learning, who reads, experiments, builds new skills, even on the side. That person may face uncertainty too, but they're always adaptable. They're not tied to one title, one company, or one definition of success. They've built the inner flexibility to pivot. When change comes, and it always does, they don't break, they bend. They understand that the world doesn't owe them stability, but it rewards adaptability. The risk of staying the same isn't that life will be hard, it's that it will become small. You'll wake up one day realizing you've been playing a game designed by someone else, following rules that no longer matter. The world will have moved on, and you'll still be clinging to the version of yourself that felt safe years ago. That's the real tragedy, not failure, but unrealized potential. Growth is uncomfortable, but it's the only path that keeps life interesting. Every change you resist is a missed opportunity to discover what else you're capable of. You can't outsmart change, you can only learn to move with it. That's what evolution is. Small, consistent adaptations over time. You don't have to leap, you just have to take one step forward every day. So if you're afraid of risk, remember this: staying the same is not safety, it's decay disguised as peace. The world doesn't punish risk takers, it punishes those who stop growing. The smart ones understand this and use discomfort as their compass. They move toward what challenges them, because they know that's where the future is being built. You can't control the pace of the world, but you can control your pace of growth. And once you commit to evolving mentally, emotionally, and skillfully, you realize that the greatest risk you can ever take is not betting on yourself, because when you stop growing, you stop living. The safest path is not the one without change, but the one where you become strong enough to handle any change that comes. In the modern world, information is everywhere, yet wisdom remains rare. We scroll endlessly, consume constantly, but we rarely pause to think deeply about what we've learned. Most people chase shortcuts, quick wins, easy hacks, overnight success. But the truth is, anything truly valuable in life compounds over time, and learning is no exception. The smartest investment you can ever make isn't in stocks, property, or crypto, it's in your own ability to understand and think clearly. Knowledge, when pursued consistently, compounds faster than money ever can. Naval once said that if you can learn how to learn, you can become anyone you want to be. That single insight separates those who drift through life from those who design it, because the person who masters learning doesn't depend on luck or credentials or even timing, they depend on themselves. Every skill they acquire doubles their odds of success. Every idea they absorb becomes a tool they can apply in countless ways. And over time, those tools build something far greater than wealth. They build wisdom, judgment, and freedom. The reason compound learning is so powerful is because it scales infinitely. The more you learn, the easier learning becomes. Ideas begin to connect, insights start to layer, and suddenly, complex problems that once seemed impossible start to make sense. Knowledge is like a tree. Each new branch you grow gives rise to more branches. The earlier you plant it, and the more you nurture it, the stronger and more valuable it becomes. But most people don't invest in learning because the returns aren't immediate. You don't see the reward after a week or even a year. The mind doesn't send you a balance sheet showing how much wisdom you've accumulated. The payoff comes subtly in better decisions, sharper judgment, and clearer thinking. It comes when you see patterns others miss, when you avoid traps others fall into, and when opportunities appear obvious to you but invisible to everyone else. That's the silent power of compounding knowledge. It works quietly until it suddenly looks like genius. True learning isn't about collecting information, it's about changing how you see the world. You start to realize that what matters isn't memorizing facts, but developing frameworks, mental models that help you understand reality more clearly. Naval often talks about combining ideas from different domains: philosophy, science, business, psychology, and how the intersection of those ideas creates new insights. That's the beauty of compound learning. When you read broadly, think deeply, and connect dots across fields, your mind becomes a network of leverage. Money compounds through interest. Knowledge compounds through curiosity. Every time you follow your curiosity instead of convenience, you expand your long-term potential. Curiosity is the fuel that makes learning sustainable. It keeps you engaged when progress feels slow. When you learn out of genuine interest rather than obligation, you don't need discipline, you need only wonder. And over time, those small curiosities lead to massive breakthroughs. Think of it like planting seeds. Reading one book may not change your life, but reading 100 and reflecting on them changes the way you think about everything. Watching one insightful video may spark an idea, but spending years exploring that idea shapes your destiny. Each small insight compounds into a world view that guides your decisions, relationships, and direction in life. Learning becomes less about acquiring and more about transforming. The mistake most people make is stopping once they've learned enough to be comfortable. They get a degree, a job, a title, and then they coast. But the world doesn't stop evolving, and neither should your mind. The most successful people aren't the ones who know the most, they're the ones who keep learning the fastest. They stay humble, curious, and open. They don't fear not knowing, they fear stagnation. They understand that ignorance is inevitable but curable, and that each moment of confusion is an invitation to grow. If you learn consistently, you build leverage. Leverage means your knowledge starts working for you through automation, capital, communication, or code. The more you learn, the more you can create things that scale beyond your time. A well-written book, a software program, a business model, or even a well-structured idea can reach thousands without you being there. That's when learning becomes freedom, when your ideas begin to earn for you while you sleep. So, when you think about risk, remember this: the safest bet you can make is on your own capacity to keep learning. Everything else, markets, technologies, jobs, can vanish overnight, but no one can take away your understanding. The mind is the ultimate asset. It appreciates with use. Each hour spent learning, thinking, and reflecting adds invisible equity to your future self. If you want to get rich in knowledge, in freedom, in peace, bet on compound learning. Learn relentlessly. Read what excites you. Question what you believe. Reflect on what you know. Let your curiosity lead you into the unknown, because in a world that's constantly changing, the smartest and safest investment is the one that compounds inside your own mind. At the end of all ambition, what we truly want is freedom. We chase money because we believe it will buy us choices. We pursue success because we think it will give us control. But freedom isn't something that appears when the world finally bends in your favor. It's something that grows inside you as you gain mastery over yourself. Every risk you take, every skill you build, every moment you spend learning is a step toward one simple goal: to live life on your own terms. Freedom is the ultimate return because it cannot be given, only earned. You can inherit wealth, but not independence. You can receive power, but not peace. Freedom is self-made, built brick by brick through the small choices that prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. It comes from saying no when the crowd says yes, from following your curiosity instead of convention, from building something of your own rather than renting your time to someone else forever. The moment you stop trading your hours for approval is the moment you start becoming free. The irony is that most people spend their entire lives chasing freedom, but end up building cages out of comfort. They buy more, commit to more, and slowly surround themselves with obligations disguised as security. They work jobs they dislike to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't know. And then they wonder why the world feels so heavy. The weight isn't coming from the world, it's coming from the layers of self-imposed commitments that leave no room to breathe. Real freedom begins when you start shedding what no longer serves you. Naval often says that freedom is the highest dividend that learning and leverage can pay. When you learn enough to create value on your own, you stop needing permission. You can choose when to work, where to work, and what to work on. That choice, that control over your time is priceless, because time is the only non-renewable resource you have. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose status and rebuild it, but once a moment passes, it's gone forever. Freedom is the art of spending your moments intentionally instead of letting them be spent for you. To reach that point, you have to redefine success. It's not how much you own, but how little you depend on. The person who needs nothing is invincible. Freedom isn't luxury, it's simplicity. It's the ability to wake up and decide what matters that day. It's being able to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values. It's peace of mind, not possessions of matter. You can't be free externally until you're free internally, free from fear, from comparison, from the constant hunger for validation. The path to freedom is paradoxical. It begins with discipline. You earn autonomy by mastering yourself first. The mind is the first prison most people live in, filled with anxiety, cravings, and attachments. If you can't control your thoughts, someone else will. The advertisements, the algorithms, the expectations, they will all pull your attention away from what truly matters. Freedom begins when you take that attention back. When you decide to be deliberate instead of reactive, when you start living from intention instead of impulse. Money helps, but only to a point. Financial freedom gives you the space to make better choices, but it doesn't guarantee inner peace. You can have millions in the bank and still be a slave to your calendar. You can have followers and fame and still be trapped by other people's opinions. True freedom is doing what you love without needing it to impress anyone. It's being content in solitude and unshaken by silence. It's realizing that happiness doesn't come from adding more to your life, but from subtracting what dilutes it. The pursuit of freedom is really the pursuit of self-knowledge. The more you understand yourself, your drives, fears, and values, the less power the external world has over you. You stop chasing what everyone else is chasing and start building what's uniquely yours. That's when you become unstoppable because your motivation is no longer external. You act from clarity, not comparison. You choose your direction and you move without waiting for approval. That's the quiet confidence that real freedom creates. In the end, freedom isn't a finish line, it's a way of living. It's in the small decisions, choosing creation over consumption, curiosity over comfort, stillness over noise. It's in the way you respond to uncertainty, not by running from it, but by trusting your ability to adapt. When you bet on yourself enough times, fear loses its grip. You realize that nothing in the external world can truly threaten you, because the foundation of your happiness lies within. So, when you think about taking risks, remember that the highest return isn't wealth or status, it's freedom. The freedom to think for yourself, to live by your values, to wake up and decide how your time will be spent. Every act of courage, every lesson learned, every boundary set moves you closer to that state. Because the smartest risk you'll ever take is the one that earns you back your own life. And when you finally reach that point, you'll understand freedom was never the reward of success. It was the purpose of it all along.